Hey everyone, it's paobeary. So, just a heads up, this is going to be a complete yap fest the whole way through. So, if you're not into that, this is your warning. I've been having a lot of thoughts about Genshin Impact and gacha games in general as of late, and I really just wanted to organize my thoughts, figure out exactly how I feel, and share that with the community. I'm going to be expressing what are strictly my own opinions. So if you find yourself disagreeing with anything that I'm saying, you're more than welcome to express your disagreement in the comments, but just know that I'm speaking only on my own experience. Again, these are my opinions and my thoughts only. So if you're new to this channel, I have been on YouTube since the middle of November of last year. So I'm still super new to this platform and new to making content in general. When I initially started my channel, I was playing 4 different gacha games, which were Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, Atelier Wrestleriana, and also Honkai Star Rail. But from the start, my plan for the channel was to only cover Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves out of those 4, and then I was planning to add other games to that list as they came out, one of which was Infinity Nikki, which I am now also playing and covering on the channel. But the more and more I continued playing these games, I unfortunately started to realize that for some of those games, I was playing them because I really enjoyed them and looked forward to hopping on every day. But for others, I was playing them more so because I felt like I had to. And in case it isn't obvious, I want to clarify that I am not monetized, or anywhere near being monetized for that matter. So my sense of obligation for playing these games was not tied to any form of financial reason, but more of a sense of a personal obligation. And I didn't really know why at first, nor did I know when exactly I started to feel that way about these games. Because when I started playing these games, I genuinely loved them all. As of right now, I am no longer playing Honkai Star Rail or Atelier Wrestleriana. But I won't go into depth as to why that is because I'm not covering these games on my channel anyway. This video, as I'm sure you can probably guess by the thumbnail and title, is really about Genshin Impact. I first started Genshin Impact when it originally came out during the pandemic. I played it for a little bit, but I couldn't really get into it, so I just dropped it. I picked it up again in either August or September of 2023. I know for sure it was one of these 2 months because I started playing again when Linny's Banner was first released. And I really found a lot of enjoyment in the game the second time around, and I've been playing it since. So I've been playing it for a bit over a year now. Like a lot of people, Genshin was my very first gacha game, and I ended up becoming absolutely obsessed with it. So much so that there was a period of time in which if I wasn't playing Genshin, I would be watching videos about Genshin instead because I love the game that much and even loved just hearing other people talk about it. And even though I know that no game is completely perfect, it was very hard for me to notice any issues with the game because I had nothing to compare it to at the time, since it was my first gacha game. However, after picking up other gacha games down the line and trying new things, I slowly started to notice things that I didn't really like and general problems that I had with the game. And again, I'll say it one more time, my problems with the game. I'm only talking about how I personally feel about this game. I'm not going to make this a Genshin versus X gacha game type of video. I'm just going to talk about the things that I've come to realize that I'm really unhappy about with Genshin specifically. So, just a warning, I'm about to complain a lot for the next few minutes about Genshin Impact. And it's not going to be me complaining for the sake of complaining. I really want you to understand all of the issues that I have so you can realize how significant the second half of the video is going to be. So, first of all, I love Genshin's open world. I think the areas are beautiful, vibrant, and unique enough to make each region feel different. However, lately, I'm finding less and less enjoyment in exploring the world overall. And it's not like I've just become bored of the same regions because I have quite a few areas in Natlan that I still haven't even visited yet. So there are still new places for me to discover. However, for me, the traversal has started to feel more and more like a chore. I feel like at this point in the game, given how many years it has been out and how much revenue this game has brought in, the traversal should have been significantly improved by now. I just don't understand why our stamina has to be depleted while we're running around if there are no enemies surrounding us. You're basically being slowed down for no reason. In combat, it makes sense for your stamina to deplete because if you had unlimited stamina while fighting, there would barely be any difficulty in the game, right? But being slowed down for no reason while trying to explore just feels bad to me. Climbing up cliffs has always been an annoyance to me, even when Genshin was the only game that I played. But now it just feels almost unbearable. It feels so painfully slow, and because of the stamina constantly depleting again and randomly falling off and then having to start over again, I just don't want to do it anymore. It's come to the point where I'm reluctant to go certain places or complete certain things just because the traversal feels so sluggish to me now. So sometimes I just won't complete things at all simply for that reason. And Genshin has made some improvements to the traversal in Natlan anyway. Now we can basically possess the Saurians and use their abilities to traverse more quickly and more easily, which is nice, but you have to find the Saurian first, and there might not be one around in the area that you need it in. Another thing they've done is they have added traversal abilities to some of the Natlan characters. With Kachina, you can go up cliffs much more easily. With Milani, you can cross the waters more quickly, etc., etc. But what if we don't have these characters? Or what if we do, but we don't want to use them at that time? Now we have to edit our party to swap someone out for the character that we do need, just so we can move around more easily. When I think a simple solution would be to just make traversal better, period. It feels like instead they're solving issues in the most inconvenient way possible. For example, like I just mentioned, Kachina's ability that allows us to go up cliffs easily. That could have been an item that we could just equip and then use no matter what character we're using. They have shown us that they know how to make traversal feel better, and they have the means to do it. So why lock it behind certain characters instead of just giving everyone a better traversal experience overall? Another huge pain point for me is the fact that certain materials can only be farmed on certain days. And again, when I was only playing Genshin, I didn't think there was anything wrong with that or abnormal or anything. But of course, having played other games now, I am left sitting here thinking, why? This by far is probably one of the worst things about the game, in my opinion. I very recently pulled Mavuika and was looking forward to using her. I hopped on Genshin one day ready to farm materials for the weapon that I wanted to use on her, and then realized, oh, I'm not able to farm these materials at all today. And sure, there are other days that I could farm. But what if I don't want to farm those days? What if I'm busy? Then I have to wait for when I'm ready to farm and hope that it's on a day in which I'm able to do so. This restriction feels so unnecessary. And again, the developers have shown us that they have the means to do it and that they can change that because they've already done it, only in a very specific situation. So when you stop playing Genshin for 2 weeks and you come back to the game, you will be greeted with something called the Stellar Reunion. And the Stellar Reunion gives you a few benefits, one of which is being allowed to farm any material on any day. So it's not like they don't know how to implement this or aren't able to do it. They've already done it. But you can only take advantage of that during the Stellar Reunion. And you'd think, why add this feature? Why add this benefit to the Stellar Reunion? Is it because they know how valuable it is? And they know it will make players want to stick around and take advantage of this? Of course. They know players want this. So why not have it available always? So, back to my original point about this, if I'm only able to farm on certain days and I happen to not be in the mood to play those days, I either force myself to play even though I don't want to, because I need to build my character, or I can wait for a day in which I do want to farm and hope that I can. So, the result of all this is me not having a good time playing because I'm forcing myself to play when I didn't want to, or waiting for when I'm in the mood to play and taking much longer to finish building my character. Another thing that is becoming more and more of an issue for me is the lack of a skip button. And even though I think that players should get to choose whether or not they want to experience the story, I'm actually not talking about skipping the story. I'm talking about skipping completely useless dialogue, such as dialogue we are forced to button mash through in daily commissions, for example. There is no reason why we shouldn't be able to skip those cutscenes. We have all experienced Timmy asking us to feed the pigeons a million times. Why do we have to sit through it again and again and again? And sure, it may not take a whole lot of time to button mash through it, but it's just the fact that we have to do it. It's just an annoyance that could be so easily solved. I also think side quests and even world quests should be skippable. And I know that you can learn a lot about the lore through those quests, but again, I just think players should have the choice whether they want to learn those things or not. Maybe there are players who don't care about the lore at all, and they just like Genshin for the combat and exploration. I think those players should be able to play the way that they want to. Something else I'm not very happy with is the resin capping out and not having any reserves, the fact that there are still no artifact loadouts, and just general quality of life updates that the community has been asking for years, and the developers just won't implement them for some reason. Lastly, I just want to bring up the rewards. I think it's no secret that Genshin's rewards are typically on the stingier side compared to other gacha games. And I've accepted that because that's just how it's always been, right? However, this last thing they did was kind of the final straw for me personally. For once, they were going to give us 20 whole pulls, which for Genshin is huge. I mean, that's like giving away 1,000 pulls for them, let's be honest. And I was excited about those rewards until I learned that we were not going to get those 20 pulls until after both Mavuika and Seatlolly's banners were over. It is the first time they decide to run two brand new units at the same time, and they choose not to extend the duration of the banner, and they decide to give the rewards only after both characters are gone. For me, this just feels like a brand new level of greed, and I'm frankly getting a little tired of it. So, why, after realizing that I had so many issues with the game, did I still continue to play it? For what reason? Were the developers going to come after me for quitting their game? No. Was I going to be financially impacted by quitting? No. Because, like I said, I am not monetized. I was not making any money off of it. So, why did I still keep playing? I have been sticking with Genshin despite my ever increasing negative feelings towards it for a while, simply because I felt like I had to. And the actual reason as to why I felt that way was not so obvious to me until I really stopped to think about it all. I knew that one reason was because I spent money on the game and I felt bad abandoning it after doing so. But that didn't really feel like it was the main reason in my case. After really thinking about it, I've come to the conclusion that I think the actual reason I felt that way is because this was once my favorite game. It was my first gacha game and introduced a beautiful open world that I was truly excited about and characters that I absolutely loved and still love now. In fact, my favorite gacha game character is Navia, and not just my favorite Genshin character, my favorite character across all gacha games, period. The game made me feel really happy, and I found ways to enjoy and experience Genshin even when I wasn't playing it. So I guess I just feel sad that my feelings towards the game have changed so drastically, and I guess I was kind of in denial about how strongly I was feeling that way. I really wanted to convince myself that I still loved the game just as much as I did in the past. I kept wanting to hold on longer and longer and hope that things might change, or I should say that the things that I'm unhappy about would change. But I just don't think it's worth holding on anymore. Because now I'm playing simply because I feel like I should, and because I'm remembering the good times that I used to have. I'm not playing because I want to. I'm not playing because I'm still having a great time. I think I just don't want to waste my time and energy on things that I don't enjoy anymore. Having said all of this, I have not completely lost hope for Genshin. I will be on the lookout for their updates and see if they make any meaningful quality of life changes that would make the game more enjoyable for me. But until those things happen, I'll just be waiting on the sidelines. Forcing myself to play a game that I'm already feeling negatively about is just going to make me end up completely hating it in the end. But I also just want to say that if you are someone who is currently playing Genshin Impact and you genuinely enjoy the game and think it's great, then that's wonderful. And I'm genuinely happy for you, and I wish that I felt the same. I don't want my opinions to influence how others feel about the game at all. This is really just me talking about how I feel, and that's it. One of the reasons I felt the need to even say all of this is because I have a few Genshin videos on my channel and was originally planning to make more. So this video is also acting as a kind of channel update, letting you know that that's no longer going to be the case. I have no idea when I'll be playing it again or if I ever will play it again. That will solely depend on if the developers make the changes that I'm personally looking for or not. But again, if you're enjoying Genshin, then keep enjoying it. Don't let the opinions of others impact your own experience. If you're happy with it, then that's all that matters. But Genshin is ultimately what made me realize that I had a very harmful relationship with gacha games overall. Not just Genshin, but also with Atelier Wrestleriana and Honkai Star Rail. And on that topic, there is one more thing I want to talk about. And I just want to be clear that what I'm going to say from this point forward is no longer about Genshin Impact, but gacha games in general. If you are someone who started playing a gacha game and loved it at first, but are not having a fun time playing it now, and you have no financial incentivization to do so, then just drop it. Because one, you owe it to yourself to spend your free time doing the things that you enjoy. And two, you have no real obligation to play. Because do you know what you actually owe these gacha developers? Absolutely nothing. I think it's so easy to develop a harmful relationship with gacha games, even if you're a free to play player. Because one of the things that gacha games do is that they try to become a part of your daily life. to become a habit that you will have a difficult time breaking. What I mean by this is all of these games have dailies. They might be called different things in different games, but they are missions that you are expected to complete every single day for rewards that really aren't worth it on a day to day basis. For example, Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, and Genshin Impact all give you 60 in game currency per day. That is less than half of a pull per day. Missing one day of dailies really isn't going to make a huge difference in your account. And yet, many people, myself included, feel like they can't miss dailies even for one day. And one of the reasons is because completing these dailies has become a habit that is hard to break, whether you realize it or not. And when you have been partaking in the same habit for a long period of time, it can be really difficult to stop because you're just so used to doing it without even really thinking about why you're doing it. Another reason some players might have trouble dropping a gacha game is because of sunk cost fallacy. If this term is new to you, it is described as a phenomenon whereby a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it is clear that abandonment would be more beneficial. In other words, the way this can be applied to gacha is you spend money on a gacha game, and because of that, you feel like you should keep playing, probably because you think it will make your expense more worth it. And this really doesn't make much sense because continuing to play the game won't get you your money back. The money has been spent, it is gone, and it will remain gone whether you continue playing or not. If you are feeling remorseful for spending that money, then use that as a learning experience and remember that feeling of remorsefulness the next time you're about to spend on a gacha game. But don't force yourself to continue playing because you think it will make your expense more worth it, because it simply won't. Coming to terms with my feelings about Genshin and gacha games in general, I have decided that moving forward, I will only play games that make me happy. And right now, the only games that are doing that for me are Infinity Nikki and Wuthering Waves. That's it. I'll be trying some of the new upcoming gacha games like Ananta, Neverness to Everness, Azure Promilia, etc. But if I'm not enjoying them, then I'm just going to stop playing them and that's it. And if one day I feel like I'm not enjoying Wuthering Waves or Infinity Nikki anymore, then I'll drop them too. I don't care. I refuse to expend any more energy on things that I'm not enjoying and that are not offering any real value in my life. If you're somehow still here, thank you so much for listening and sticking around until the end. I know it was a lot of complaining, which is pretty difficult to listen to sometimes. So I really appreciate you staying around for the conclusion. At the end of the day, what I want to say is just play what you want and what makes you happy. Bye bye, and I'll see you next time.